Hey y'all, it's Livy Redden. Welcome back to Today is the Future. Today I have a very exciting guest, someone that is an inspiration to me and someone that I see as very resilient, strong, intelligent, kind, and the exact type of woman that I try to be myself. And her name is Karen Dwyer. She is a renowned coach, a TEDx speaker, award-winning entrepreneur, dedicating her life to helping women with MS take control of their health and thrive. As the founder of MS to Success, Karen has guided women in 26 plus countries to manage symptoms, boost energy, improve mobility, and regain confidence without relying solely on medication. Through her personalized health programs and live global health expert calls, Karen has empowered thousands with a holistic, science-backed approach to MS wellness. Her free masterclass, 3 Steps to Have Success with MS, has transformed lives worldwide, and her business is rapidly growing globally. Karen's expertise has earned her the Digital Woman for Good Award, over 7 other awards, and speaking invitations on international stages. She's been featured on major platforms, inspiring others with her no-nonsense, high-impact strategies for health and success. And when she's not leading her company or mentoring her team, Karen loves to travel, dance, cook, and push the boundaries of personal growth, all while balancing business, motherhood, and thriving life. And additionally, you are a very multifaceted person, at least in my eyes. And I would love to capture a little bit more of that before we move forward. You mentioned it a little bit at the end of your bio there, but I would love to give people a little bit more of a peek of Karen outside of just a work setting. Like, what is she like? Who is she with? Where is she going?
Good question. I'm usually the one that is keeping people out dancing in the street, or the last one there.
I can attest. Yes.
You can attest.
Yeah.
I was in Mexico.
You're the life of the party.
I don't know about that.
So.
I'm the messer.
So. You're the what?
I'm the messer. So that's an Irish phrase, as in like the one that's always joking, or the one that's always, you know.
Yes.
That must be an Irish phrase. That doesn't translate. Yeah, but like in Mexico a few days ago, we read it like a mastermind for health businesses, and everyone's like, okay, we'll go home. I'm like, come on, let's go to like a dive bar, like right in the center of Mexico. So we're there, we're having a drink, and I'm like to the barman, could you play any songs for us? And I got everyone up dancing in the street.
Yes.
That's probably a good good summary.
I love it. And I have no doubt.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, even last night we were like, I'm sleep deprived, she's traveling. We were like, we can hit a comedy show. We were like, maybe we should be responsible and not do that. 10 p.m. anyways.
Well, life can be so serious, you know, and right. I think it's one of the parts of my program is fun, because I think people forget, especially when there's a health issue, it's easy to get stuck into, you have to be serious and I have to take that and I have to be, you know, go hard or go home type approach. And actually I found the opposite is the case, you know. So
yeah. I agree. I love that. Like, I just did a workshop with my online collective, and it was all around building habits that allow you to have fun and like making time for that. Cause I think that's probably both why we really like stand-up, because it's like, I need that. I need to laugh.
Yeah. It's so important. Yeah. So important.
Yeah. But yeah, to kind of dive into the nitty gritty, we talked a little bit about some of the experiences you wanted to talk about. Yeah, I know in a lot of podcasts you've been on, you've dug more into your journey with MS. And for me, I'm going to be digging a little bit more of your journey in your 20s. You know, you and I had talked about how you had your first daughter at 23. And during that time, you set up a multi-million-pound company that was being filmed on TV. And simultaneously raising an infant. And yeah, I would love to hear a little bit, just like to give people a little more context of what was happening there, like kind of what the company was. And also I'd love to hear what your driver was for creating it in your 20s.
Great questions. So for anybody that doesn't know what MS is, it's multiple sclerosis, just because I say it all the time and people don't know. And it's a neurological degenerative disease, just to say that.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, 20s. Oh my goodness. So I was pregnant and gave birth to my daughter. Yeah, I turned 23 when she was 2 weeks old.
Mm.
So it was, I mean, full on. And you know what? I had it down. I was so excited for her to arrive. And I remember when I was pregnant first, because I had this different path,
Yeah.
you know, kind of laid out in my head. And I was pregnant first. I thought, oh my goodness. And interestingly, I didn't know, you know, what I wanted to do. And if I'm being really honest, it was like, am I going to be able for this?
Mm.
Am I going to be able to bring up a child? And I, you know, I had some stuff in my childhood that I was resentful about. And I thought, I don't want to bring up a child that is put in a position like that or might feel like that. And do I have the capabilities to raise a child well? And I went to some counseling for that. You know, being pregnant at that age, I was living in Oxford. I had planned to go to dance and drama school, but I didn't get in.
Oh, no.
So I know. Turns out I'm really not good at acting.
Fair enough. Hey, I went that route for a while too. I understand. Everyone's got to a little bit, you know?
Totally. So I ended up like working in this store, and I ended up being the manager of it in the end. So my name is Karen and I am the manager. I had all of these ideas on, you know, how this business could thrive. And I think I always had that entrepreneurial spirit from when I was a kid. You know, I was always thinking of ways that I could make things better but when I was working there, I had a couple of business ideas, and one was a cancer prevention piece of tech. Because I'm so white, and actually I've got tan on at the moment, so this is like tanned for me.
Yeah, me too.
But I had quite a few instances.
We got that
of getting,
Irish skin.
We do.
Yeah.
We could be sisters. I mean, this is not natural blonde hair; it's red underneath.
Oh, is it really? Wait, maybe I knew that. You're redhead. Yeah.
When we met first, I was redhead.
I was gonna say you. Yeah. Okay.
I know. I will go back to my roots eventually, because this is a pain in the butt.
Yeah. The upkeep.
But yeah, so I had a cancer prevention piece of tech, and I was looking at the whole patent world. And the reason that I came up with that was because I was sunburned so many times as a kid. And I'm lazy. I hate putting on sunscreen. I hated going to the beach and then it's sticking to you.
Preaching to the choir. I'm right there with you. It's tough out there.
I mean, we had this thing in Ireland called P20. Did you have this? It was like an oil that you put on, and you have to stand there and you're like a slug of slime and everything sticks to you. It's awful. So I had this idea of this machine that would spray you with sun factor, and I wanted to sell it to hot countries, governments, or have it as on beaches that you stand in. You know the way if you're standing and getting a spray tan?
Yeah.
But that you could do it and it would automatically spray you with sun factor, and you could just pick which factor number you wanted. So that was my original idea. And I had another business idea then, you know, like kids pacifiers. This was before I had a daughter, but that you could interchange the design on the outside to match their clothes.
Oh, that's cute.
Cute, right?
I like that. Yeah.
So there was a girl that I hired when I was working in the shop in Oxford, and she was pregnant at the time. And I thought, yes, I'm going to be empowering, and I'm going to hire a pregnant girl because nobody else would. We became good friends. And when I went back to Ireland and had my daughter, we stayed really good friends. And she had her son, I had my daughter, and she rang me one day and said Channel 4, which is like, I don't know what you'd compare it to in the States. Anyway, it's an internet. It's a big channel in the UK and Ireland. Yeah. And they were looking for budding entrepreneurs for a program called Make Me a Million. And so she asked me to call a number. I called them. I spoke about what I was doing, where I was. And they said, can you come in for a screen test and bring your business ideas? So I flew to London the next day.
Interesting.
Yeah. They invited us back over to be interviewed by this apparently millionaire entrepreneur. And I'll speed this up so that it's not. But anyway,
no, I find this fascinating. This is really interesting.
We got through 4,000 people. I had to pitch my business ideas. My friend, in inverted commas, pitched hers as well. But we used my ideas to get through. Anyway, we got chosen.
You and your friend pitched together?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got chosen through 4,000 people, and we got matched with this mentor. And the idea was to make £1 million. So it was in the UK, in London, was to make £1 million in a year. And so I thought, oh my goodness, this is it. This is so exciting.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was all going to be filmed for the year. So what I didn't realize at the time is that we were supposed to be using our business ideas. Well, that's what I just assumed, but we were presented with a different idea that he already had, that his friend had, which was a luxury kiddies hairdressers. Now, doing due diligence, even at 23, I'm surprised that I had the thing to, but I did. And so I was like, how are you going to make $1 million in a year with overheads and like training staff and insurance and all of these things? And so one of the sideline ideas was to make a line of products along the side. So my daughter had eczema. My business partner's kid had eczema as well. So I started calling manufacturers, and I spent days and weeks calling all of these different places. And what I want to do is make an almost organic one, but without the price tag, because I was young and broke and a single mom, and I didn't have the money to go shop in health food stores. And there weren't that many then. This was 21 years ago, almost. And so I finally found a manufacturer that could take out 6 different ingredients, everything from sodium lauryl sulfate to parabens to all of the nasties. And I coined the phrase no nasties. And so Halos and Horns, the brand, was born. So it was kiddies body washes and shampoos for kids that had sensitive skin that was almost organic, but was cheap and available on the supermarkets. Supermarket shelves. Yeah. So that it was, here's, if I reverse a tiny bit, what was so great, and I've kind of skipped quite a bit of it, I moved to London with my 6-month-old, and I was asked not to bring my daughter with me. And I said no, because...
like the TV people asked you?
No, not them. This was making great TV. No, my friend and the millionaire entrepreneur. So my friend ditched her kid and went and moved in with the entrepreneur. And so I then borrowed money from my parents. I say borrowed, I never paid it back. They gave it to me. And I moved to London, found a creche for my daughter, and then I was going into what was quintessentially then their home into work. So they were up at in the office at 7:38 in the morning, and I was getting in there at 8:30 a.m. sweating, having done pretty much a day's work already, getting a 6-month-old ready and up and dressed and breakfast and back on the tube, back into the office. And not that I'm trying to look for sympathy or anything else. It was just, I can look back now with, hindsight. Yeah. But it was a difficult time. And just on the cusp of signing a £13 million deal, I arrived into the office one day and the cameras were there. And my friend and the entrepreneur said they no longer wanted me part of the business anymore because I couldn't dedicate it as much time as them. Yeah. So they duped me.
And the cameras are on. They're doing it with the cameras on. That's
this
crazy.
Was before the days of social media, but it was what I can only describe as heartbreaking.
And you know what's really interesting? Okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sidetrack, but what's really interesting about that is I'm curious, prior to that moment, you're probably someone that's thinking I work hard. I do stuff well. I put my best foot forward. So to have people be like, you can't do it was probably huh? What? Does that make sense?
Completely. Well, I questioned and for years, and oh my God, I've questioning yourself. So much therapy, because my automatic default way of being and believing is I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me.
Right.
Because it was what have I done wrong? And when I look back now, there was and look, I have to take some responsibility as well. Yeah. I refused to leave my daughter home, but that's my pillars. That's my family, my kids, my daughter. She was the reason that I was doing this. I wasn't going to leave her behind. She's my little best pal and my only, and I was a single parent at the time. She was my shadow. She doesn't want to be my shadow so much anymore. But, I took her everywhere with me, and I wasn't leaving her in exchange for going and chasing money, Yeah. So, yeah, there was a huge amount of anger. There was anger at first because I knew that my friend had found a more lucrative partner in the business mentor than she did in me. So that was our friendship dissolved. But also...
And you're losing the friend at the same time.
Yeah, so now I'm in a country by myself with my daughter and not knowing what to do. And my parents had also told me, don't do this.
Really?
Don't do this. And I was like, no. I'm going to do it and I'll show you. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, they were right. And I've spent their money. And it was
That is
awful.
brutal. Yeah.
Brutal is a good word for it.
That's some brutal stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're with your daughter, you're in London. Well, let's see. Where do I want to? So things obviously went differently than you had planned, and you and I had kind of chatted a bit about one of the things that you had really pulled from that experience was like the power of listening to your gut instinct when it speaks to you. And just as you had kind of said, it probably shook up a lot of things inside you after that. And maybe even sent you on a path of learning to listen to that gut instinct. So I'm curious, like, why that came up as like something that you really pulled from that experience.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I saw the signs a little bit earlier. Like, my friend went and moved in with this man without ever having even had the conversation with me. It was like around Christmas time, and I had then just come back. So it was like, okay, this is wrong, but I didn't have the courage or confidence to call her out on that at the time. So I kind of just thought, oh, I'll just get on with it, and I'll just roll in with what was happening. So instead of me going, what's going on here, and why are you doing that? You know, which is what I should have done. I just felt, and maybe I didn't feel like I was worthy enough or had enough. I don't know. It felt like kind of a 2 against 1. And instead of me having the confidence, I was then just trying to people please, and then trying my best to fit in and be enough and scramble, you know? But my goodness, if I could talk to my 23-year-old self, I would tell them, I don't want to curse on your podcast.
You can.
But I would tell them to go fuck themselves.
We are cursing friendly.
Yeah, thank you, good. But yeah, I would tell them to go fuck themselves. And like, it's so cruel how they acted, you know? But then that's them as people. I am not that person. And I'm really proud of that. And when I look back now, and I know this is easy for me to say, but I'm glad it didn't work out.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be in business with people like that ever again. They have zero integrity. And if you're basing a business on being Machiavellian or being underhanded like that, that is not something I want to be part of. Thank you. Next.
Yeah. And honestly, I think for me and for a lot of other people, I can't tell you how comforting it is to hear you say that. Reason being is that as a person in their 20s that's running a business, I cannot describe the amount of times I've had people tell me that I'm going to need to compromise on my values to have the success that I desire. And I just can't do it. I'm like, I just fundamentally disagree with you. And so when I can hear from people like you where you're like, no, I can value these things and live my life in the way that I desire in my soul, and I can be successful as well. Like, again, like, fuck off. Like, let me.
But that's what makes you who you are. Do not compromise on who you are, what you believe in, and what you stand for. And look, that may change from when you're in your 20s, and you have, you know, you can reserve the right to change your mind whenever you want. But where you are right now, do not compromise on your values. Do not compromise on the things that make you you, because that's what makes you unique, and that's what, you know, will attract people to you. If I could have stuck to that, oh my goodness. But you know, I always think back and think, oh God, I was desperate to prove myself. I was desperate to make a life for my daughter and I. And you know, the amount of times that had been told to me, oh, take a bit of your own medicine, get a council house and go on benefits and stop dreaming. And it's like, and I think in order to prove that wrong, I kind of went a few steps further, you know? And I think what was driving me was, instead of, okay, this is what I want to do, was probably being driven by, I'll show you. Yeah. And I'll take the photos. And it didn't work out for me. But that was being driven probably, you know, of course, 70% of it I'd say was, no, I really want to do this. But there was a good 30% chunk of, I'm going to show you. Yeah. Which,
I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not very healthy, but I'll own it.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And honestly, that's the exact thing that I've had to unlearn a bit. I think especially as like a younger sibling, you kind of grow up with a mindset of like, I can do everything my older sibling can, and like I'll do it better. And I that was something that I've had to intentionally unlearn, where it wasn't so much that I've felt like a sense of unworthiness or that I desired people's approval. It came more from a place of like, I'll show you what I know to be true about myself. And it took a while to be like, actually, just let people misunderstand you. Who cares, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do in your 20s when you're kind of forming that identity. I mean, I didn't know I was doing it at the time, but you're forming your identity. You're trying to, for me, it was trying to live into what I wanted to be instead of having the confidence and courage to let myself be who I was then.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to change it, you know?
Yeah. And now, like, what I suppose in business, but also just in life in general, how do you approach things now? Because there's sort of a balance of like, how am I trying to phrase this question? There's a balance that's always being played of, for example, like in the value of like speaking up when it's needed, and you wishing that you had been like, wait, what's happening? There's always this interesting balance happening of like kind of letting things go with the flow, which like we all kind of need a level of that, and simultaneously speaking up when you're like, wait, this does not feel good for me. And I'm curious how you kind of, if you have any additional thoughts on how you balance that now. I mean, it's just a through line in like life, business, relationships, all that.
I think there's a fine line between, you know, speaking up and being heard versus having some grace and compassion.
Right.
Because I think, you know,
It
if
feels
we were
so
all
gray.
totally, but I think
Yeah.
if we were all to jump up and jump down someone's throat if they said something that we don't agree with, I mean, the world becomes a really yucky place,
Right.
you know? So I think there's somewhere inside of learning and growing where we have to give patience and compassion to other people. Like you mentioned earlier on, and it's that famous Mel Robbins book that everyone's talking about right now, the let them theory. There really is a need to let people fail, to let people have their own journey without kind of stamping your foot and saying it has to be this, or I don't agree with you. We can grant people having their own opinion, and it might not be what we agree with. But then on the flip side, when it's us, I think having that patience and compassion with ourselves and allowing and having the confidence to listen to ourselves. And really, you know, one of the phrases that my clients are probably sick of hearing me saying is slowing down in order to speed up. And that's scary when you maybe don't know who you are or don't know what it is you want to do. Slowing down can feel like a pretty frightening place. But everybody has the answer already. Everybody knows what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And I think if we give that gift of going inwards and listening to ourselves, oh my goodness, all the answers are there already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And I love that you bring up, it's interesting because, I imagine this, and I've heard you kind of talking about this is a through line of working with clients with MS, is that you can feel with MS, of course, it's your body, but you can also feel in your life when it's time to slow down and when it's time to speed up. You can feel the pull and the push. And being willing, especially if you're someone that really likes to, you know, get in there and get going, being open to when you can feel the slow needing to occur, and the seeds needing to be planted. It's you begin to work so much more in alignment and in flow with just like the world and the energy around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you really bring everything into alignment, like you said, and allowing yourself space to fail, firstly. Because I think when we give ourselves permission to fail, it doesn't occur is so scary anymore. You know, every week with our clients, we celebrate the win of the week and the fail of the week, because I think when you start to become friends with that, it's like, hey, it's not so bad. And I encourage my clients to go out and fail, because that's when you're on the court. That's when you're playing, right?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember your question that you asked me. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Well, actually, it's fine. I'm going to go into another question anyways, but I love how slowing down and allowing yourself to fail, I feel like really go hand in hand. Because slowing down can honestly feel like failure. And I think when you begin to not fear either of those, it opens you up to so much. And as you were kind of mentioning that with your clients, it makes me think of, I don't know if you've seen the movie Meet the Robinsons.
I love
great
it.
movie. And there's that scene in there where they all go, "You failed," and they're all like clapping. And I love that. I'm like, one of the best lessons we've taught in a children's movie of just like, and one of the women in the show says something along the lines of like, well, when you succeed, like, it's great, but you don't really like get anything from that. You don't really learn anything from that. And I don't know. I think seeing that displayed in such a simple way in like a kid's movie, I love it. I love that movie.
That's so great. Yeah, I remember seeing a graph online. I don't know who it was that shared it, but it was like the amount of lessons that you learn when you win is here, and the amount of lessons that you learn when you fail are up here. So I mean, it's really, really stacked. And there's so much more longevity and growth when you fail. But I think the secret is not giving up on yourself, or not making it mean something about you or your character just because you failed. It's like fail forward, fail faster, you know?
Yeah. And then and I guess the mindset goes along with when you fail, instead of making it mean something, getting curious about what occurred. Like, it doesn't have to mean something about your whole character. It's actually quite exciting, because now you get to reiterate and like try something else.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really need to be that much like aggressively deeper than that.
Yeah. I love that.
But yeah, moving forward a little bit, let's see, how much time do we got? Oh yeah, we got some time. I'm trying to decide which way I want to take it. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this, and then I wanted to talk a little bit more about health and your journey with MS and being an MS coach as well. But before I kind of get into that, I wanted to ask, you're someone that I see as very resilient and independent, and it shows in your story from when you were in your 20s as well. And I think sometimes, I don't know if this has been your experience, but it seems to be a through line when you talk to very resilient people. Sometimes there's a level of then having a struggle with accepting help, or accepting the need to ask for help as well. And I'm curious if that is a theme that comes up in your journey at all, like the acceptance, not only accepting help and maybe even accepting love, but also being able to ask when it's needed. Because man, like for me, it's something I've had to work on, where I'll find it frustrating, where I'm like, I should just be able to do this myself. But it's like, no, you need people, by the way, Livy. I'm curious if that's a theme in your story at all.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And it's a theme for all of my clients when they start to work with me as well.
Yeah.
So like, having been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, there was definitely something that clicked when, you know, I saw everybody else's reaction around me was like crying and being upset and like, oh my God. And I'm looking at this going, what the hell? Oh my God. So I was, you know, comforting them. And so what clicked in place for me was, I'm fine. And I've also got to make sure that they think that I'm fine, even if I'm not, because I don't want to deal with their upset.
Yeah.
So this, you know, hyper independence was born. And that is not a good place to be long term, let me tell you. And And so even if I was struggling way back then, I wouldn't ask for help because I had the thought that it's going to change people's perception of who I am. I do not want sympathy. I did not want empathy. I didn't want people doing the, oh, head tilt, you know, which is very common. Like, oh my God, are you okay?
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, I'm still the same person.
Yeah.
Don't treat me
Don't do
differently.
that.
Now what I've learned is, you know, again, hindsight, looking back, I wasted so much energy putting on that front, putting on that facade. And if
Yeah.
I had, if I had have
Yeah.
concentrated on minding myself and loving myself and maybe asking for some support, but not even that.
Yeah.
If I had have just stopped, because what I did was
Not pretending.
I went out and helped everybody else instead of looking after myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
So you found yourself turning to put out other people's fires and just kind of, you know, not tending as much to your own.
yeah. Well, that was easier because then I didn't have to take responsibility for myself and my health if I was
Interesting.
concentrating on other people.
Yeah.
What I have seen then with clients over the years, and that was an expensive lesson to learn for myself. You know, it definitely prolonged me being sicker for longer than I needed to be.
Yeah.
And it's a real juxtaposition when you think about it, you know, like that, hey, I need help, but I don't ask for it because I don't want you thinking that I need help. So I'm going to help you, but really I do need help. So I'm going to stay sicker for longer. I mean, it's messed up when I see it like that. And I really train my clients to not do that anymore. One of the things we do on our regular Friday wind-up call is we do a brain download. So we write down all of the things that are on your to-do list or that are floating around in your head because that's taking up energy, you know, and from a physiological perspective, that stores in your cells. If you've got a busy mind, it's hard to see things clearly. It's hard to keep your stress at bay. So we do a brain download. We get everything out on paper, and then I remind them, you know, get your smears, get your boobs checked, all of the things that we maybe don't think about so often. And they have like a live working document. But what then I get them to do is they have that in one column, and then on the second column, it's who can you delegate those things to? For example, are you, you know, do you have a crazy day on Thursday? Okay, can you ask someone to cook? Hey, do you need your car cleaned? Okay, bring it and get it detailed. Hey, I really don't want to clean your bed sheets. Okay, can you afford to get a cleaner? Whatever it might be. So it's thinking strategically, but then also I have them do another exercise at the beginning of the program where they name their success team. So those people that they lean into, and I get them to have a conversation with each and every one of them saying, you're on my success team because you're my inspiration when it comes to fitness. When I'm struggling, can I pick up the phone to you and can I call you and can I maybe just rant down the phone and will you just listen to me? And it's like, so you're setting up even before you need any support, you're setting that up in advance so that you don't have to ask them. So when it does come to the point, you don't have to do that. Oh my God, I feel this about myself. You've already had the conversation and you might have a little code word. My code word with my partner is Robin. We say Robin, it's like it's down tools and we're like one-to-one, okay, what do you need? So that success team and that list every week, it has people and it's really uncomfortable in the beginning asking for support, but when you set yourself up to succeed, it's a game changer. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, right?
I love that.
I'm going to give you a story actually on that.
Please.
I have one client, and she had a mom who had advanced dementia and she was her sole caregiver and also dealing with MS and a lot of pain and some mobility things. And it was coming up to her mom's 70th birthday and she wanted to have a celebration and invite family. And she was getting really stressed about all the things she had to do, like cooking, cake, all of that stuff. So I asked her, okay, have you ever had anybody ask if they can help you? And she said, yeah. She goes, but I wouldn't know what to ask them, you know, to do. So I'm like, okay, well, now you've got an opportunity. I want you to write down a list of all the people who have ever offered help to you. You're going to write them down. In the next column, we're going to write down all of the things that you need to do for this party. Everything from, I need extra plates. I need extra cups. I need to make a salad. I need to make a cake. I need napkin, whatever it might be. And then I got her to text each of those people and say, hey, I know you've asked me before if I want some help. This is what I'm doing. And I'd love if you could pick one of these 3 things. Let me know if you can. And she said that on the day, everyone brought everything and they felt like such a contribution because they felt part of it. And she said she had the best day ever. She was out they live in a rural area, out in the field playing with her cousins. and everyone had such a good time, but it was a lift of energy. So my opinion is, if you don't ask for help or you don't let people help you, you are robbing people of the opportunity to make a contribution to you. And also, like, if you ever gone to a dinner party and someone says, what can I bring? And you're like, no, you don't need to bring anything at all. They're going to go and buy something different and they're going to arrive and then they're not sure.
Right.
Whereas if someone says to you, hey, bring the salad, and you bring it and you feel really happy, you feel part of it.
Yeah.
You feel part of it then, and you feel better about yourselves, and it raises the entire energy of it. So you're really doing a disservice if you're not being honest and asking people for the support that you're looking for.
Yeah. Because it also fosters like a sense of community. Because now, like, you know, I can help you, you can help me, and we need that to feel like, and yeah, it's interesting how, I guess I'm speaking from like an American perspective, but in so many of my own and my friends' communities, it's very just like rely on you, you know? When I think so many of us crave like wanting to be there for others and wanting people there for us. Yeah.
But it is that personal responsibility of getting uncomfortable and saying, yeah, I actually could do it with some help, and knowing that it doesn't change who you are, or it doesn't make you a lesser person because you need help. Everybody else does. So when you can be honest and show up with authenticity, you're then the clearing for other people to show up and ask for help too. So you never know who's going to take inspiration from you asking for help, because and I'm sure you know these people that are so strong and so capable. Everybody deals with their stuff in the background, you know? So we give permission to everybody to not be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of transitions me perfectly into, on the topic of MS, as someone that also grew up with a parent, as someone that grew up with a parent that had a neurodegenerative disease, I've seen a lot of like what the inside of that looks like, and what sort of that, as you lose the capacity to do things and the struggle that causes. And so I'm also curious, because I as I observed my parents dealing with that, I saw, on the topic of asking for help with my mom, she was so tired, and it was really hard to even desire to delegate. And so when people would come and just like do stuff, they like, and it was so kind that so many people asked how they can help, but it really was so helpful for her, at least this is what I had observed, when people just kind of did stuff. And that was also, she definitely could, and she would agree with me on this, could have done better at asking for help and delegating simultaneously. And on the same time, it was so helpful when people would just like bring a dinner, or just kind of just do it. And that was like a really formative learning experience for me. So when I've been around people that are, a family member has gotten sick or they're grieving, just like doing the thing. And so I guess I bring that up because I'm curious what you would say around, if you have someone in your life that has been diagnosed with any sort of illness, or is struggling, or maybe has even lost somebody, how have you seen it's most helpful to support those people, or even like your clients that have been recently diagnosed or have been dealing with it for some time?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think sometimes it's quite hard for the person to verbalize what they actually need.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of
totally.
workarounds in life, and you know, a lot of times with my clients, and oh my goodness, I adore them, but in the beginning, when I start working with them, they tend to have built up a lot of patterns or a lot of workarounds, so that they don't have to burden anyone. They don't want to slow anyone down.
Right.
So this becomes normal everyday life. So I think, you know, having an honest, open conversation with someone and finding out what it is they want their health to look like. What is it that they're living into, or what is it that they want to live into? Because I bet you they're not telling you their fears, because that's probably too intense for them to face. But I think maybe having a conversation around, hey, you know, what does great health look like to you, and how can I, get into partnership, or how can I support you with that?
Mm.
Because, and then sometimes people don't know, like the questions that I ask when we're assessing somebody in the very beginning is, what are the symptoms that you're dealing with? And then what does great health look like in 6 months from now? And then we bridge the gap between what's missing and what's working and what's not, to personalize it to them. But a lot of the time, I have a client, and she said this phrase to me and I thought it was brilliant, and she's a medical practitioner and she couldn't see her own blind spots, but she said to me, Karen, I couldn't see the label because I was inside the jar.
Mm.
And so it's only when you're with someone who can see you, who can really see your struggles. And for a lot of people that are dealing with chronic illness, they are very good at masking, that I'm fine. How you doing? Yeah, I'm great. I'm good. And really behind it all. And honestly, sometimes they're not aware of it. Like I have a client who, has a lot of kids, has a husband, has a job, and they really struggle with everyday life, making lunches, getting home from school, potentially making dinner. And they don't want to ask for support with that because they think my husband's going to think X about me, or I don't want my kids to see me that I can't do this. And I think showing up, like you said, and maybe doing something anyway to take it off their plate, or maybe it's asking a question like, what's the one thing that you hate doing the most?
Mm-hmm.
Or the top 10 things that you hate doing the most. And, offer a suggestion or take one of them over, or,
Yeah.
it's finding a solution. And oftentimes it's the daily, monotonous things are the things that are starting. Like for me and my clients, the things that they say a lot is getting up and down the stairs and carrying things up and down. So carrying laundry up the stairs or carrying laundry down. It's little tiny things like that make a big difference. Or coming up with the system to make everyday life work. So it's getting really underneath and listening for what's going on rather than just listening to the words that they're saying.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I love the idea of the question of if you're not really sure how to help somebody, asking them like what in their life like they would like to see different, and then you can kind of infer from that,
Yeah. Well, it's a good opener.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know what that is, but when you kind of open up that question, and a lot of the times when I ask a client, what are your symptoms? And we go through the questions, and then I summarize at the end. And then if I haven't heard particular things like bladder or brain fog or things that maybe people have just gotten accustomed to living life like, and then I ask them those questions and they go, oh yeah, I forgot I don't really go out anywhere unless I know there's a toilet there. So I don't go out for dinner anymore with my friends, or I definitely don't want to go on a flight. And it's only when I ask those questions or put them in front of them that they think, oh, yeah, I forgot that's just normal life now.
Yeah.
But actually it doesn't have to be that way. But it's only when someone points it out that you realize that that's been a workaround that they've had to build in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you become so attuned to just like, what do I have to do to survive? And then you kind of forget to question, like, could it be any different?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And unless you've got those kind of things in front of you or inspiring you, it's hard to see that that'd be possible.
Yeah.
It happens to success, we do.
Yeah.
Pluggity plug.
Also, did this die? Oh, no, it didn't.
1133.
I was trying to get it to turn back on. This is Karen's iPad. Anyway, she's graciously let me borrow it today. Yeah, I love that. That's super helpful, because I think that can be a really difficult thing to navigate in your 20s. Of you start to have experiences and exchanges with illness and people getting diagnosed with different illnesses. You start experiencing people around you that are having people pass away, and it can feel very like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do to help. So I love that we've been able to talk about that a little bit. And you had kind of mentioned as you were talking about, it's often the day-to-day things, just like those little day-to-day moments. And as you said that, it makes me think about, I notice oftentimes when someone their story involves them being diagnosed with something like multiple sclerosis, a lot of times in interviews, they get focused on like the day of diagnosis and kind of what that was like. But I think so much of the journey and where so much of like the internal struggle is actually occurring is really everything after that. Like it's that day to day where like becomes the true like test of resilience. And so I'm curious about like what of that journey after diagnosis and just like the acceptance of just like day to day things, like what of that journey would you like to talk more about, or something that comes to mind, or even just like an experience of a story that you feel like could, just have a good takeaway for people?
I think looking back on that again, I'll go back to I wish I had have listened to my instinct a little bit more, because our doctors are amazing. We're so lucky to have them. We're privileged with the science and technology and medication, everything that's available to us. But I waited constantly for an answer from either neurologist or doctor, because I was so afraid of trying anything other than just the medication that I was given, that I didn't really do much in the beginning. And it wasn't until I was forced to come off medication that I then started exploring, okay, what can I do for myself? And that was kind of the only time where I felt like I had permission to go and do that, because I'd go to my neurologist and say, hey, what can I do? Can I, should I change my diet, or should I do this, or should I do that? And he'd say, oh, look, just don't worry. Just try not to stress. And there might be some merit in taking vitamin D. I mean, it was like somebody just like closing a door in your face, because you have this eager, young person now with 2 kids, petrified, not on any medication, and no guidance. So
how old were you when you were diagnosed?
I was 30.
You're 30. Okay.
Yeah. So
still young.
But I probably had it for about 10 years before. And I've no doubt that whole business experience when I was 22, 23 definitely played a part in that immune system stress.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I would go and find someone, a mentor, say if it's someone and that wants to start a business, someone in their 20s, like obviously you're an amazing mentor to them. If it's someone with MS or a chronic illness, go find someone who has done what you want to do already. Find the who, not the how. Mm-hmm. The how, I mean, when you're trying to project manage and research and then try all of these different things out, you're trying to be the cheerleader and the coach and a psychologist and all of these things. It's very hard to do. Like my medical doctor client who said she couldn't see the label because she was inside the jar. Find the who and find inspiration from them. If you can get in touch with them, do that. Whatever field of expertise it's in, I wish I had that.
So you didn't find a who?
Well, I did find a couple of people who had done that. And what they had tried was so super strict. These crazy diets and these crazy exercises, and I couldn't keep up. And then I felt super ashamed and embarrassed and guilty. And here comes the I'm not good enough again.
Right.
Ta-da! But I think then listening to yourself and letting yourself have that time to explore rather than I have to do it now. Because when you're in that emergency mode, everything needs to be done yesterday, Yeah. So when I made the commitment to make myself happy, and this was a couple of weeks after my kid's dad walked out on Christmas Day, I was at a conference and they asked, what are you grateful for? And I remember thinking, what the fuck are you asking me what I'm grateful for? I've no job. I've no car. I'm living in my mom's. I have 2 kids. I have no hope. What am I grateful for?
And you have MS at this point as well?
I had MS at that point.
Yeah, great.
And then I realized, oh my goodness, I am in some sort of depression. And something clicked again. And it was like somebody pulling a fish out of water. And I went, oh my God. And then I made that commitment. I still have the journal that I wrote it down in. I was going to make myself happy. I was going to reverse MS, and I was going to show other people how to reverse symptoms as well. And almost a year to the day, I'm back in my neurologist's office, and he tells me that you've had burnout, meaning that the disease has left my body and all of the lesions had shrunk.
So interesting. Yeah.
So I shared the story. I published a journal, and I started having people contact me. and I walked them through my journey. And I'm not arrogant enough to think, oh, do what I do and you'll have the same results. So I hired a team
of course, everything's situational.
For sure. But I hired people better than me and qualified in all of the things that I wanted to learn more about, and I knew that could make a difference. And now we have everyone from a neurologist to medical doctor, functional medicine doctor, naturopathic doctor, clinical hypnotherapist, sleep doctors. I mean, we've got a whole team all under one roof because I was going to all of these different things and it took me so much longer than it needed to. Whereas we house everything under one roof, like your own health concierge.
Right, which makes it so much easier to do things holistically. Because, it's very interesting as you navigate healthcare. You go to and I actually talk about this in my book a little bit, where it's like, you go to a dentist to look at your teeth, but what's going on with your teeth is affected by everything else that's going on everywhere else in your body.
Yeah.
It's very cool to hear something like what you're doing, and I've seen over and over again, as someone that's like grew up going to hospitals, interacting with the healthcare system, that there just needs to be a more holistic view, because everything is affecting everything.
Completely. Well, look, here's what I want to say. We bridge the gap between the medical model and everyday life.
Right.
So we absolutely encourage our clients to go to our doctors, keep whatever they're doing that's working, absolutely. But it's everyday life that stops people. Like I like to phrase it, like if you went to your doctor or neurologist, and if we look at it like it's a car, right? If you have the engine light on in your car, you go to the mechanics, you don't just want them to turn the light off. You want them to find out what had them turn the light on in the first place. That's what we do. Medication a lot of times just turns off the symptom. We want to get underneath, and that's what we do. Why is that symptom there in the first place? And so we balance the entire body from mindset, movement, nutrition, self-care, sleep, fun, social. We take all of that into account because it's not one size fits all. It can't be.
Yeah.
It can't be.
Yeah.
And we've got to look at what is the physiological response in the body that is presenting these symptoms, and how do we reverse it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. And it's just like, it seems, I can't describe to you the type of passion I have for stuff like this, and just like hearing you talk about that, because it's, I feel very excited about the shift to a more overall approach that's even starting to be brought into clinical settings, where it's becoming more accessible as well, because it's just over and over again how many people need that type of help where we're getting past just the engine light. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of passion for what you do. It's very exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess before we close out, I'll do some of I like to do some rapid fire questions at the end, but I did want to ask, is there anything else that comes to mind as far as, the people that listen to my podcast are mostly in their 20s. Does anything come to mind of something you would just want to say, or a story you'd want to share, anything like that?
Trust in yourself more. Believe in yourself. Listen to your gut instinct and give yourself the time and compassion, and listen to what's in there, because I promise you, when you listen hard, you've got the answer already. Don't be afraid.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the rapid fire questions, I like to end on these. I like to end on something kind of fun. I have 5 of them, and they are rapid fire, but you don't need to stress. You don't have to go super fast. The first thing I like to ask people is, what is the best thing that you've bought that costs less than $100?
Oh, my Kindle. So at nighttime, I used to find it really hard to get to sleep, but now I have my Kindle on, and I have the black screen and the white writing. Yeah. So it means I don't need to turn on the light. I don't need to have glaring stuff if Noel is beside me. So it's not completely white, and it's better for your eyes and going to sleep.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, one of my clients told me that, actually.
That's a great idea because I read before bed too, and
Yeah.
I've got a light on.
Well, otherwise I let the book fall onto my face if I do that.
There's
So-
also pain.
Totally. So what I do is my bedside locker, I open the drawer, my underwear's in there, and there's lots of material. So, I mean, it bounces without making a noise.
Yeah.
So I put it there, and then when I'm finished reading or find myself getting sleepy, I just place it on that and take my glasses off and I drift off.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, that's actually very helpful to hear. Okay, lovely. My second question is, I'm a bit of a fashion girly myself. You'd mentioned pursuing singing, I wanted to go into the fashion industry. So I love to ask the question: do you have a fashion and or clothing essential or something that I don't know, it could be something you like to wear a lot, an item you like a lot, or just like, what do you have a fashion philosophy?
Good question. Well, so I used to be a fashion girly. I used to manage a very big ladies' wear store, and then I also opened up Jimmy Choo in Ireland. But I used to wear 4-inch heels every day to work. I mean, and now I'm like trainer's gal.
Yeah.
I suppose my favorite thing, because I'm lazy, is I wear dresses all the time.
I love a dress, yeah.
I'm lazy because it's one piece of clothing and it goes on and done. And I wear trainers all the time. And for years, I mean, years and years ago, I wore trainers with dresses and people were like, oh my God, what are you doing that for? Now it's trendy.
And then it became a trend. And you're like, how dare you all?
So
I've been doing this.
Apparently I start trends.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of laziness.
Like that trend, me. No, I love that. Well, and also I think like, I think a lot of this is a little bit off topic, but I think like when you bring up dresses, I think a lot of people think that I like dress like this every day. And I'm like, I wear a hoodie and jeans. Like, you don't always, I think there's like a weird pressure, specifically with this generation, to like look fashionable all the time, especially when you're in a place like LA or New York. And I'm like, just, you don't, like, sometimes you like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
It's too much work. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't, like,
I'm
that
with
seems
comfort.
so first world problems, but I think about that and I'm like, y'all, I do not look like this every day.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a shift in, because at what age am I now? 43. I don't know if it's just I've gotten a bit older and I have no fucks left to give about fashion. I'm like, I will wear whatever I want.
Yeah.
Don't care once I'm comfortable. Like, I don't even like wearing jeans anymore because I'm like, oh, they're just annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, go comfy. Trainers and dress. Done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm like, if I'm actually gonna like put together an outfit, it's usually on a day where I'm like, oh, this will be fun and I get to do a little more self-expression. But I'm not, like the rest of the days, I'm like, I'm not doing this for nobody else. I'm like, when I get dressed up, it's for me, and when I don't, it's for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
My third question is, what piece of advice do you give others that you often have a tough time taking yourself?
Oh, trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I still haven't mastered that, because you're like, oh, looking for outside validation and, and I just had that the last few days I was in Mexico to mastermind, and I'm taking anyway, there's something that I'm doing in my business and hiring somebody else, and my mentor was like, oh, me, and I was like, you know what? No. And I am trusting myself on this. Because I think, look, and even if it doesn't work, at least I've tried, but I'm slowly but surely listening to myself and trusting that good instinct. So we'll see if it works. If it does, amazing. If it doesn't, well, it's learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that you've mentioned that too, where even sometimes you are going to have to question a mentor who's going to be someone that's supposed to, like, in your head, you're like, they have all the answers, but at the end of the day, you do. They're just helping, like, guide the bowling ball to the strike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Nice. My second to last question is, what is a book that you love? Or a book that you're reading right now, either or.
I like Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Yeah, I can't remember who the author is, but it is all about putting the reps in, not skipping steps, and actually doing the hard things. I think sometimes we can want to, get there the fastest way possible, or, you know, find the AI way, or how can I do this faster? How can I make it bigger? How can I make it better? And actually doing the reps, putting in the work, learning your trade, mastering what it is, that's what's going to get you there further and longer. So yeah, a really, really good book.
I haven't heard of that. I'll have to
Yeah.
look. And we're pretty much, we're out of time, but the last thing I'll ask you is, what's a song you've had on repeat lately?
Oh, well, it's an old school one, and it's Super Stylin' by Groove Armada. I love it. I know, that's because I'm way older than you.
Well, I guess maybe if I heard it, maybe I would.
You would. I'm not going to sing it for you because it's in a different accent, but that's what I got my friends up dancing to the streets in Mexico a few days ago.
Okay, there. Noted. I'll listen to it on the way home.
Yeah, cool.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything, do you want to just tell people where they can find you?
Sure.
What's going on?
Yeah. On Instagram, it's I am Karen Dwyer, KarenDwyer. On TikTok, it's MS to Success. If you want to watch the masterclass, it's mstosuccess.com. And yeah, if you need to shoot me a personal email, it's hello@karendwyer.com.
Amazing. Thank you. And all that will be in the show notes as well. Thank you for coming on. This has been lovely.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.